Hello, welcome to I'm Angry, Annoyed, Amused podcast. You're on with Mike. So next to me is Matt.
What's up?
Over there is Johnny.
Yep.
Across the table is the other Mike.
Hello.
Today, we're going to be talking about hospitals. I guess on the aggregate, I'm going to talk about a particular experience I just had. So I'll start real quick, if that's cool with everybody. I was in the hospital on Monday. I dislocated my shoulder over the weekend. And I went to the hospital on Monday to get an x-ray, primarily. And I was there for 5 hours, which...
That's pretty quick.
Apparently. But the thing that annoyed me the most of the 5-hour visit was like, and I understand anytime you're anywhere for 5 hours, a lot of it's waiting. But the actual time I spent either speaking to a person or getting x-rayed was legitimately 5 or 6 minutes. And I understand that, like, I shouldn't just go to the front of the line because it's me or anything like that, right? There's a queue. I get it. People were there before me. They got to get treated first, yada, yada.
Not the way you felt while you were there.
Well, because of this. I feel like there should be some sort of...
Express lane?
Not express lane. Not even express lane.
There should be lanes for like
what do
the
they call it?
tragedy.
Like triage.
Right.
Like I had a very specific thing that I knew what it was, and I said, like the first person I spoke to thought my shoulder was still dislocated, and I was like, no, dude, like I'm not, like,
But you're
that
not.
would be more
You're
of
not
an
in
emergency.
medical need though to them.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
if you
But they
went in
could
and
have got.
said,
But I now took up a room.
yeah, but they don't care.
Right, but like where I was a place that somebody else couldn't be for 3 hours, and if they had
You
just
should
the
have said your
second I
chest
walk
hurts.
in, well, right, but I don't want to like lie about an actual big thing to get
My
to
chest
the front of the
wouldn't
line. Like, what I'm saying is my goal is not to skip to the front of the line. That's not my
No, I
argument
get it.
against hospitals.
But not to sit there for 5
I'm
hours
saying
either.
Inefficient.
Some other things, like there are things you go to hospital for that take a while to diagnose, right? Like you might have a sick kid.
Right.
Like one of the only reason I mentioned the sick kid is because there was a couple there whose baby was sick and they didn't know. We went to a doctor. They said it was just a cold, but she's been sick for 2 weeks.
Right.
We didn't know what to do. She got really sick tonight. That's a thing that will take time, I'd imagine, because you have to. Like kids can't tell you exactly what's wrong with them, and especially if it's like a sort of cold symptoms. I'm sure you got to do a ton of tests.
Gotta run
and there's a
tests.
time thing. I went in. I told the very first person, I was like, I dislocated my shoulder. It's in the socket. I think I need an X-ray just to make sure there's no broken bones. They said okay, and then I had to wait for an hour and a half. Then they finally called my name. They walked me in the next room. They asked me what happened, which is the thing I already told somebody. Call that what it is, like whatever. I tell them. They say, okay, we'll be with you soon. I then wait another hour and a half for finally like a RN, I think, came over, asked me again what happened. I told them. They felt my arm. They were like, do you have pain doing this, pain doing that? I was like, I haven't moved it a lot. Like, the immobility is kind of the largest issue right now. They're like, well, I'm pretty sure it's in its socket. I was like, yeah, me too. Like, I was certain it wasn't hanging out. It was dislocated on Saturday. It's not currently dislocated. I just need an X-ray because I don't know if anything's broken because I can't see into my arm.
Right.
You know? And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll get an X-ray for you in a minute. And then I was there for another hour and a half. Then finally somebody from the, whatever comes over, like they call it transport. They take me to the X-ray room. It takes 30 seconds. They give me 3 X-rays. I say thank you. I walk back. It takes another hour. Am I at 5 yet? Is that 4? Give or take.
I think you're 12.
It's pretty much. It was pretty much an
Thank you for
hour.
joining.
It was pretty much an
Actually,
hour
I
in
actually
between
think
each
that
step.
hour is 5.5 because you kept saying hour and a half.
It's-
Okay,
I think you
so
went to-
fine.
I think you
Whatever
went
it
to
is.
Whatever. I'm
3
saying then
and
it took
4.5, and
another
hour, 5.5.
period of time
Yeah.
before the person could. And this part was the only time it made sense to wait in my mind. Because they have to like get I don't know how long it takes to get the imaging. I imagine
10
it's pretty
seconds.
quick. I was gonna say I imagine it's pretty quick, but they
It's
have other things
But
to look
least
at. Like this
that
RN had
point,
other
you
things
knew
to
you
look
had
at.
your X-ray, so
Yeah.
that was
At least right. At least I got the thing done, and now I'm
And
just waiting
arguably,
for the
I'd say
results.
The first waiting
So
period when you first
Which
went
was
in
the
and
first
asked.
4 hours.
when you're
No,
an
no,
outsider.
before they came in and asked you for the second. When you went in and asked,
Right.
and then you waited an hour and a half, and they came and asked you again, makes sense.
Okay.
Waiting at that point, they should have been like, all right, let's
X-ray,
get the X-ray.
look at it,
Right.
get me
Once
out.
you got
Right.
checked in-
If that had happened,
At that
it would have
point, let's
been
get
it would have
the
cut the
X-ray.
time to
Whenever-
3 hours. It
soon
would
as
have cut 2 hours off.
As
the
soon as
trip.
you got brought in, it should have been boom, 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 boom.
That's how I see it because it was so fast.
Yeah.
There was not
So,
really a diagnosis
you
part.
think you think there should be an express lane? There should be.
There should
Not
be.
In a
no,
way.
not in
No,
express
there
lane.
should
I
be.
think hospitals should do better, like triage.
No, there
to
should
say,
be-
This guy's gonna take us 30 seconds.
That's the express lane.
No,
Let's
there's
get
an
him outta
you're
here.
calling
no,
an express lane
hold
like-
on. There's an emergency room, right? You went to
Right.
the emergency room because that's the only thing you can do
In a
as you
hospital,
walk
unless
in,
you're-
right?
yeah.
So an emergency room should be emergencies, right? But then I agree with you. There should be another area of the emergency room for small little things that you can kind of figure out by looking. Oh, I broke my leg. Oh, let me look. X-ray. Move on. You know,
Yeah.
obviously someone that goes in
But
for chest
the thing
pains
is-
or
right.
I wasn't having a heart
No, no,
attack, but like
realistically,
there is an
wrong.
emergency aspect to like
No.
I need to know if
You
my
need to
bone's
know.
broken.
right.
Exactly.
But emergency for people who aren't going to die.
And that's
Yeah,
my
but nobody-
concept. It's
but
the
they don't
same-
do that.
It's the same concept I have for Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks.
What?
Right? Yeah.
That there should be an
Same
express lane.
concept. Yeah, because you get behind the guy that's ordering this fancy drink, wants a sandwich, special order.
You just want a
There-
black
there should be
coffee.
A lane for a guy
A
that
black
just wants
coffee.
Yeah, but the problem with the express lane is everybody's gonna go.
Yeah.
I belong in the express lane. The guy who wants to order 10 things,
But
he's
there-
like, I know
no,
what 10 things
but
I
there's
want.
rules, and it's the same thing we talked about, right? The express lanes in the supermarket, 15 items or less,
Everybody breaks it.
right? You shouldn't be
Well,
able
no.
to, especially on the self-checkout.
I've
I agree. You
seen
shouldn't be
people-
able to.
Once
but-
it gets to item 16, it should go bing.
Fair enough,
I've
fair
seen
enough.
people do double charge.
I think what the difference here is, you're saying express lane, it makes it sound like it's decided by the person. What should happen is you go through the same way, but once he says like, I just need an
no, I
X-ray to
get
make
They should
sure-
know. They
because
work in
what-
a hospital.
Because like realistically,
Right,
what
that's
were you
true,
going to
too.
tell them that was not going to make them get an X-ray?
But here's
you know
the
what I
thing.
mean? Like
No.
they
But
knew
here's
from
That
the
was gonna
first
happen. That
thing
was
The
the only
that
thing I
even
needed.
if you were wrong
Yeah, but
and
you're
you
missing-
had broken bone and it wasn't in the socket, they weren't going to not give
The
you an
minute
X-ray.
he
Exactly.
told them,
Exactly.
the minute he told them what was wrong, he went to the bottom of that list because he's not urgent, he's not
Which,
critical,
yeah, for resources,
and he's
I
not there.
understand. Right.
Yeah,
So
but that
now
makes
they're
less sense to
Right.
me. Is
but
what
now,
I'm saying.
but now they're fitting you in
Right.
wherever
There-
those
there should
emergencies
be-
are.
Wherever
Well, don't,
people
You
have
know?
a
don't
second
call it an
to go
express
in.
lane, but there should be an emergency lane.
Right.
And then a not so
A non-emergency
a not
lane.
so emergency lane.
Right.
but
Well,
Well, I
you
think
did-
that's what they think
something done.
urgent care is.
No,
but
because-
apparently
I mean,
they don't do
but
X-rays
the-
anymore.
well, that's what I was told. I was told
Well, no,
urgent cares
urgent-
don't do X-rays.
They do certain
Some of
days
them.
in certain places and certain
Right,
times.
right, right.
Somebody
right,
has to be
right,
there.
Right.
right.
I went
Which
to
is, like,
I went to
fine.
an urgent care 2 weeks ago for that thing, and I went online to book an appointment. I didn't think you had to do it, but someone told me to go online, book an appointment. So I booked the appointment. But when I went on to book the appointment, it said 10-minute wait time. So I was like, why am I going to book an appointment? I'm just going to go there. So I went there. I checked in. She's like, have a seat. I was like, how long? Because I'm like, 8 minutes by now? And she goes, you're like 8th in line, so about an hour and a half. I'm like, what happened to the 10-minute
When
thing?
you do it online, they give you an actual time to
Well,
go
no.
in.
When I
it
did
was
that,
great.
she's like,
But
but she gave me the dumbest excuse. I would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, the people that do the online thing and this are separate, and they don't really know the wait time here. So they
Yeah,
put.
they
I'm
just
like,
lie.
what? How is it?
Yeah, that's why I
The
think
thing
like
is,
when you
when
do
you're
it, it's like
dealing
making an
with
appointment.
medical-
It's pretty cool.
Is that a thing?
Always
cool,
wait,
yeah.
right? Because, like in the hospital, you go to the emergency room, they take the real emergencies first.
Right.
Which I agree with.
And they put you to the side. Because
And they fit you in.
They should take the emergencies
They don't have enough
first.
staff.
I get that.
Because they don't have
Right.
any other system.
I get
Right,
that.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Then you go to urgent
see
care.
now why you're not
like
as
if
mad
you go
at it
there
anymore.
because you
Right.
want to get tested for COVID.
Urgent care is taking the
You're sick,
the
and you wanna-
easiest
like,
things
you're not
first.
really sick or whatever.
Right.
But now really sick people come in.
Right.
Right. They take them first. So then you wind up waiting. And it's the same thing with your doctor appointments. Right. Like they try and book as many as they can. Number one.
Right.
But also, if somebody who is being treated by like who somebody who has a doctor, right, like a physician that you normally go to for your checkups and stuff. If you have an emergency that you want to see this doctor for, they'll try and fit you in. Right. It happens across the board with the medical profession.
it's a
The only
scam.
place where I don't have that problem anymore is my dentist. I go to my dentist. I am taking it at the time of the appointment.
I'm never. No,
I'm
I
done
wait
when
for
he says I'm gonna be
I will
done.
say
That's good.
dentist.
15, 20
I will
minutes
say
is
dentist. You're
fantastic.
right. Dentist. I wait, but never
I
like
used
to
to
do.
wait at the dentist,
I
but
wait.
the one
I
Any
feel like
Now it's
specialists
great.
are always
any
much
doctor
quicker.
I
Yeah.
go to, I'm always sick.
Always
And the
waiting.
worst are, I take the earliest appointment. Like, what times he start?
Right.
8:30.
You figure you'll be
Does
the
he have an
first one
8:30
in.
appointment? He does. He has it. I'll take that one. At 9:00, I'm like, what's going on? I'm his first appointment. No wonder why the whole day's messed up.
Came in late.
He's already.
gotta get
He's
ready.
messed up from day one.
You
From
know what's
point
happening
one.
at the hospital is they're back there. They're going, okay, what are we going to do to charge this guy? Like,
Yeah.
That
What are we going to do?
They're
to
looking for
upcharge this
everything.
guy? Let's make a plan before we X-ray his arm. Like, how are we going to get?
I was gonna say there's a better not thing. I wasn't like that angry because I just said no, but I was like, come on, like really. when I was talking to the RN and when I got the X-ray, everything was done, and it was like my discharge or whatever. The lady came back. She's like, "Hey, X-ray looks good. Nothing's broken." I was like, "All right." Like I was pretty sure, but this is the reason I was here. So cool. She's like, "Dude, we're gonna give you a shot in the arm though for the pain." I was like, "I don't need it. Like it's fine. I'm not in that much pain." She's like, oh, "Okay, well, do you want some Tylenol,
for
Advil,
$100
whatever?"
a pill.
I was like, "I have Advil at home."
Yeah, but not that one. That's more expensive.
I was like, "I have Advil at home."
Yeah.
She's like, "Have you been taking it?" I was like, I took some like at night when it hurts, like to sleep.
$75 a pill.
I was
She's
gonna
like, "Are you
say.
sure you don't want any?" I was like, "I'm certain I don't want any Advil from a hospital." Like, what? Why would I need
Because
it?
they
I
want
could
to
go to CVS.
The amount of money they want to charge you.
I wonder how much longer. But you know what's the funny thing? I bet I would have got that Advil immediately. I
Maybe.
bet I would have said, "Yeah, I'll
Oh,
take
yeah,
the
you
Advil,"
would've.
or "I want that
Yeah,
shot in
you
the arm,"
would've.
and they would have
Ready.
said, "Come with
Yeah.
me." But the
when-
X-ray, but the hey, can you look at my arm real
Yeah.
quick?
I gotta
Takes an
say-
hour.
I think
and
I
a
told
half.
you when Presley was born, I was up all night and stuff. I had bad headache, and I asked the nurse, and I asked, "Do you have Advil?" So, and she had it in her bag, and she was going, and the other nurse is like, "You can't do that." And I know one, they say, "Oh, you can't do that because of that," but two, they want to charge.
It's not
you.
bringing
So-
food into a restaurant, though.
So
Like it's
she-
a very
Yeah.
different.
So yeah,
thing.
then she's like, "Oh, you have to ask the other nurse, and they'll write a prescription for you." I'm like, "I don't need a prescription for." Nope, I'm good. My headache's okay. Like, come on.
for
I mean,
ibuprofen.
you had a bad experience and you knew you were going to have a bad experience.
I knew I
Well,
was.
in hindsight, you knew.
I knew I was.
It was going to be.
I was pretty sure I didn't
because
wanna
it
go.
was a non-emergency emergency. When I went
Yeah.
last year, when I had the vertigo thing that I didn't know was vertigo. at
Sorry,
the time,
buddy, that sucks.
They took me right in because they wanted to check.
Oh,
me.
because
They
you
thought-
could have had a
They
heart
thought it could have been
attack.
your
they thought it was
heart
my
or your
heart.
brain.
Yeah.
Right. So
Dizziness?
they took me right in,
Yeah.
hooked me up to the thing, checked my heart right away. And then everything after that was fine, but I went right in.
I'm not faulting them.
Yeah,
for
but once
taking-
they realize it's not your heart, you start slipping
Do you
down
think
that
they
ladder.
do it to deter?
I got to say that emergency room was
Do
excellent.
you
Which
think-
one?
Do you
It's
think
in
they?
Brooklyn. It's,
Oh.
it's just an emergency room. It's not even. There's no hospital attached to it. Like their hospital is a
So
little
it's like
Oh,
an
really?
urgent care.
down in Brooklyn. It's not an urgent care. It's just it's a full blown emergency room.
Pretty cool.
That's actually
Do you
a
think-
great concept.
It's not bad.
And
All
at some
emergency.
point they transported.
Right,
me to
they
the hospital,
transfer
but
you.
they
I
really
like
didn't-
that.
They really didn't need to.
So
'cause
with
I was-
that-
by that time I was done. I was.
Do you think they do it to
out
deter
of it?
people coming in for non-emergencies?
No.
Do you think they want to
No,
make
I mean,
give
to
you
give
a
them the
miserable
best-
experience if you go in there?
No,
I do want to
Not
give them the
with an
the most
emergency.
benefit of the
No,
doubt. Is
I
just that
think
there's
a
too many
lot- there's a
people
lot
for the
going
people
on.
working.
Yeah.
There is a lot going on.
Which
I
is
think
fair.
I think that's what it probably
Which is
I
fair.
think that's most
But
likely what it was.
but 5 hours, right, for one X-ray and 5 minutes of
And the
talking
amount
to
of
a
money
person,
you're spending.
like there is just something so clear. Like if I said I spent 5 hours on anything else that took 5 minutes, it never
No,
like
no,
that
it's-
does
it's-
not
I
make sense.
I
It's
have
a
so
fair
many
point to
stories
say-
of a child for some reason being in an emergency room. I don't know why. I think my dad was always sick, whatever. But I remember, and it was always
It's
that way.
always terrible.
It's always been like we're going at 11 o'clock, and I remember leaving like 4, 5,
you
6
gotta
in the
plan,
morning.
like, you gotta know,
Like
yeah,
it's
I'm gonna be
always
here for
been
hours.
like that. It's crazy. Crazy.
There's a lot going on, but I think there is some and again, I don't know how to run a hospital, so I couldn't say.
Fair enough.
But I think there
Me
is
neither.
some,
I don't know either, but I feel like I can do better.
I think there are lanes
think
you
so.
can put people into. Like this guy just needs an X-ray. Get him an X-ray because if his arm's not broken,
we can get him out.
get him out.
it does
Yeah.
come. Obviously, it
You know,
comes
Now
down.
he's not in line anymore.
It does come down to staff because you don't have many X-rays, like X-ray
That's true.
technicians.
You
You
gotta
don't have
get
right?
the X-ray
And then-
technicians running around the
right,
hospital.
and you can't overstaff obviously because then you're going to have this huge
It's
bill every
expensive
month for a
already.
thing. But hospitals, I feel like, make a lot of money, and they know how much on average an emergency room
They
does.
should have that
you
by
could
now, yeah.
right, you could be like, all right, you know what, we're going to have this staff strictly for all that emergency we got, and we're going to put this lighter staff for all the other people, and that's going to alleviate their pressure.
Yeah.
Right? And they're probably going to lose a little money. They're not going to lose money, but they're going to lose a little of their overhead. But it'd be such a smooth
and
system.
people will be
But-
happy to take the
right.
work,
But the problem
take the
is
extra
they
hours.
know, F you'll sit there 6 hours, and we're still
gotta.
going to make all the money.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to.
That's where it was
Right, what are you
like.
gonna do? Go home?
I,
Yeah,
right, and I was like,
exactly.
I want at multiple points. I was
At
like,
3
I'm
hours
just
when you're
gonna
in,
get
you're
out
like-
of here, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna walk away.
Yeah.
And I was like, but now I've been here for 3 hours.
I just said,
I want to get the extra.
There's at one point you're like, how much
like, I
longer
might
can
as
it
well
be?
get the
How
extra.
much longer can it be?
But it's like I don't know. Maybe triage is the wrong word, but it's just like I don't know. I feel like there should be some process of like, okay, this person comes in, they're clearly not like, it's not an emergency in the sense that they're gonna die soon if we don't look at them. That should obviously be taken first. Nobody would ever argue.
absolutely.
That, right? Like somebody's coming in, they're like, I can't breathe, my arm hurts.
Yeah,
Like right in, like straight to the back. Right? And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum is like me coming in and saying, I know what happened. I need an X-ray. That's it, right? And then there's the people in the middle where it's like, not that bad. Like, you know, I'm sick.
not
My
sure.
kid's sick. They're not
They don't
sure.
know.
Yeah.
There's going to be more diagnostic
Right.
aspect. There should be 3 different like pools, and it's like, okay, these people are going to take us for their whole process 10 minutes.
Right.
Let's just get them all out of here. Then we can do it's going to be an hour. It doesn't make sense to
It's really,
like.
They have to. You know what they
Because
need?
it's not like because they're not
They don't-
doing
they
first
don't-
come.
they
If it
don't
was
really need
purely
more
first
people.
come,
They
Yeah,
don't need
you-
more
that'd be
people
one
to do that.
thing.
They need the Apple Store Genius Bar method. That's what I'm saying. I was like, serious.
I don't know how that works.
Apple Store Genius Bar. Obviously, you get the computers that are dead, right? That would be a heart attack, right? And you
Okay.
get the phones that are like restarting, like broken shoulder, and then you got the people that have a bad headphone, right? It's just a swap, right? So you have your whole team, right? Everybody's qualified. The genius will start the appointment with the heart attack victim. It's like, okay, this guy, we're gonna run a test on this. While that's doing, I know I can't really take that guy in the middle with the arm because he's gonna need X-ray, but I can definitely swap out that headphone. You know, give Advil. He does that. And then that's done. He goes back to his heart attack and he moves on. Like they
Yeah,
have,
right. You can even like jump in between
they
the
have-
waiting
That's where your
periods.
point about X-rays is
Right.
the only thing because there's only so many.
Right, but they have a
technicians, but
system.
for the most part for diagnostics and stuff.
But I don't think
should
they
be
do
able
that.
Yeah,
'cause
but look,
I
I don't
think
know.
one doctor gets his case and sees it
sits
to
with
the
it,
end,
yeah, and sits
and
with
doesn't do anything in between.
Also, I never saw a doctor, which is fine.
Well, yeah.
That's fine.
You didn't
Whatever.
need to.
I didn't
I
need
think
to.
I just-
I didn't need to. That's fine.
I don't know.
But I just want to
They
point
may
out.
be doing that. We don't know what's going on.
I just
yeah,
want to
that-
point
that's
out
true.
they
They
may be
could be
doing
doing
They
what?
don't know what's going on. But they may be doing the Apple service type.
Maybe,
I don't
but then
think-
they're not doing that well.
They're not doing it right.
because it shouldn't
No, if you
take
go
me
into Apple-
5 hours
if
to
you go
do
Apple,
that.
There's 100 people working there. They don't have 100 doctors. You know, that's
I
part
get
of the
that.
problem.
Yeah,
It's a
Yeah,
staffing
but
thing.
Apple
I get that.
has more
But
than
just-
an
I
emergency
think
Just
it's
room.
one point.
frustrating,
Apple has
but
definitely more
relatively
than emergency
unsolved.
They
Just
have
one
more
point on the
emergency room.
X-ray thing, because like I would understand if it's like our X-ray machine is just booked up, right? Like we
Right.
just can't for an hour and a half. There are people getting X-rayed back to back to back to back to back.
Right.
I got the transport person. I walked up. Somebody did not walk out in front of me. They might have left 30 seconds ago. Maybe they're that well oiled, despite the fact that it takes me 5 hours.
Right.
That the second the person turns the corner, I walk in, just enough that I don't see
Right.
them. But nobody walked out. I walk in.
We have to clean the rooms.
The X-ray technician is talking to somebody else. Who
Right.
I don't know who they were. Some other employee, like some other hospital worker.
Yep.
We're talking in like the little booth thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I walk in, I sit down, which I didn't need to do because I sit down for all of a minute, not even, before I guess they noticed I was in there, and one guy leaves, and the X-ray tech's like, stand up, stand in front of the thing. I was like, why'd you even have me sit down? Like that kind of thing. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
Where like I walk in, I'm like, I just need an X-ray. I'll walk right back out.
Yeah, yeah.
This lady didn't have to say, sit down, I'll be with you in a minute. The technician could have just said, stand right by the thing. You know what I mean? Like there's like all those little things that's like, and then as I was walking out, there was nobody walking in. Again, maybe they time it so well. And this time though, they don't come from where I'm coming from because I would see them.
Right.
They switch it. They're like, no, have him come from behind where the
Back
other
and
people
forth.
walked away from him. Have the next people come from behind him,
It's a-
so that you never see it's Willy Wonka and the chocolate.
It's a
Factory.
three-way hallway.
It's
Someone comes from
Wizard
every
of
angle.
Tell you
Oz.
the
It's the
truth.
Wizard of Oz guy.
What?
Like don't look behind the screen.
yeah.
Maybe.
Come to think of it, they might do that on purpose
What?
to protect people. You know, if you see somebody you know at the hospital.
I don't think they're doing that.
There's no way there's that
I don't think
method
they're
in
doing
there.
Pretty strict
If they're that,
on going
but if
to
they're
the-
that
to the
organized,
doctor,
Not with that.
if they're that, but they
No,
can't
no,
be
but they
both
stack-
that
they stack
organized
the
and
time.
well
It's not-
managed,
not
and then
perfect.
also
No, not
understaffed
no,
and
No, you're talking
struggling
about-
to
not
get people
perfect.
through.
I'm saying they probably delay.
Are you
people.
talking
they
about-
have to wait for you to leave. Probably.
No, you're
before
talking
they-
about health reasons, like record, like all
Well,
that.
no, I mean
because
for
I've been in
certain rooms,
X-ray.
They do the.
No, I've been at like in places where I've had X-rays. And I sat outside and watched everybody go in and out.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah.
sitting in a lobby together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been
I don't
there.
know, maybe, but like again, it's just my process
It's like
was
anything else. We
10
don't have a
minutes,
choice.
and I was
Yeah,
there for
we-
5 hours.
You don't have a
Yeah.
choice, right? It's
No.
like,
What are you gonna do?
Your only
I just
choice-
think they need to be.
Don't
There's
dislocate.
something that can be
Your only
done.
dislocate
choice
But
was
think
to
about it.
get
It's like,
You know what I mean?
but they do the same
enough.
thing. Go to any doctor for something more important other than just like a checkup. But even checkups do it, just not. It's a quick thing. But you go for like a heart issue, right? And you go and you see the doctor, and he's like, you first meet the nurse. And she does all the stuff, and then doctor will be in. He comes in, he asks you a
Same
question,
questions.
and he'll be like, "I'll be back in a second." And then he leaves, and he comes back, and he takes you like sometime. He goes, "I'll be back," and he comes like 30 times because he's doing this in a
got-
big
they
store.
got a lot
Instead
going
of
on.
just finish me for 15 minutes, but I'm there for an hour and a half because you just play friggin' doctor roulette. But
Yeah,
in
there's
some
no way
way-
that's more efficient. I just don't believe it.
it's not more efficient. I just think they can charge more,
again,
or I don't understand.
The
or-
doctor I go to now is very good. Once
Really?
he comes in the room, he takes care of everything.
I
that
told
he
you
should
about
take care
the
of. My doctor was very good.
I had the ringing in my ear, right? And I went to a doctor, and I went to an ear, nose, and throat specialist. And they did a hearing test. Everything was fine. They did all these other tests. Everything was fine. Doctor asked me a bunch of questions. Everything's fine. He's like, I don't know what's causing it. He goes, I'm going to send you to a specialist. I'm like, aren't you the specialist? You're the specialist.
They do have special specialists, which is crazy.
So I went to another doctor. It's the same title. So I'm like very confused. I sat in the office for 3 hours waiting to see this person, right? And I've had a lot of medical like annoyances. But I went to 3 hours sitting there, and I was like, they must have forgot my name. Like, how could I be sitting here? So I go in, I meet this doctor, go in the room, she sits down, she goes, why are you here? I'm like, I have a ringing in my ear. She goes, okay, tell me more about it. I'm like, I already saw another doctor. He said you're the specialist. She goes to me, she goes, well, it could be this, it could be that, or it could be this. Like, literally 30 seconds. I'm like, okay. She goes, it's kind of hard to really tell. I'm like, so what do I do? She goes, it could stay, it could go away. I'm like, okay. She's like, thank you.
Those are the two
I'm
options.
like, thank you? Like, that's it? And she's like, yeah, there's really nothing we can do. So I leave, like, I'm like, this did just not happen. This was 30 seconds for 3 hours, not mathing. So I go outside, right? And the receptionist is like, does she want to see you back? I'm like, I don't think so. And she's like, and now it's a specialist. So my insurance at the time wasn't the best. So she's like, all right, it's $120. I'm like, I could pay. I could not pay. And I walked out. I'm like, screw you. I'm not paying you. So obviously I got a bill, right? Because I didn't pay. I left. And I called them. I'm like, I am not paying this. I'm not paying this. And they're like, you owe it. I'm like, I was there for 3 hours and I was there for 30 seconds. And they're like, it's your bill. I'm like, I'm not paying it. I'm not paying this bill. So now I'm like, they're like, you have to. I'm like, look, and now I lie a little bit. I'm like, look, I work. I get paid hourly. I went on a break. I thought I'd be in there like an hour. I lost 3 hours of pay for you. My money that I lost is more than that, right? You're just making this up. And they're like, that has nothing to do. I'm like, it has everything to do with it. You shouldn't keep me there. So it's went back and forth. And she's like, well, it's going to go to collections. I'm like, send it to collections. You can't do anything. Collections for medical doesn't do nothing. So we went back and forth.
Yeah, they can't repo anything.
Yeah. So
then I think your pacemaker
so then
out.
she's like, all right, someone reached out. So they started texting me, I guess, because I was just an ass and they didn't want to do it. And then they're like, well, can you pay half the bill? I'm like, I'm not paying nothing. I went from like $120 to $25. I'm like, yeah, we'll go with that. And I paid them that. But they're like, oh, I hate them.
When I was thinking about leaving before the X-ray, I was like, would they bill me for this? And I was getting mad in my head that I was like, they definitely would.
Yeah.
I was like, they definitely would. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, or like you, I was like, there's a 0% chance I pay whatever they send me the bill for.
Yeah.
If I walk out right now, I'm like, no. And it's like, well, you took up our time. It's like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I didn't speak to anybody. Like, I'm a ghost in there. What do you mean? I spoke to one guy for 30 seconds because he took my blood pressure. That costs $1,000.
Yeah,
right, that's $100.
Right.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
He did that for everybody. Then you send me into a room and don't look at me for 3 hours. I walked out.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not paying. I was thinking about it, but again, I was like, I just got to get the X-ray done. Just because it's like if something's broken, then it's like it's not an emergency, but it's like I gotta.
Then you know
there's a gap. There's a gap between like you're having a medical emergency versus like, yeah, but I don't want to have to.
You
like,
need to
I
know
need to
this.
make an appointment and set this up. That'll take days,
Right.
You know, and a visit, whatever. Where it's like I want to go today. Like it was like the first time.
Like you need to know for bone.
I got
that's
home
the
late.
thing.
I got home.
Important to know if a
It's
bone is
important to know if a bone's broken. I got home late on Sunday. Like I guess I could have gone. I mean, it's 24 hours, but I didn't want to go. Fine, that's on me. I didn't want to go at like midnight.
Yeah,
and then Monday I had work, and I went directly after work.
Yeah.
I was there from 5:30 to 10:30. You know, so it's like
tough. You know, when you need them, and when you don't exactly.
But that's the thing
if
too.
you
Now
don't
they
really,
I know, but
you
there's
still
like,
need them.
but there
so
should
it's
be
like,
my whole thing is there should be something
system.
for that middle ground. There should be a system.
There-
I understand
well,
that
no,
like
there
if you were having a
was-
heart attack, hospitals will treat you. I get that. And
There
good,
was a
and good,
middle
and they
ground.
should. And they should.
There was a middle ground. You have your doctor's visits, right?
Urgent
That
care?
you make.
You had urgent
No,
care.
right. You had your doctor's
I think
visits.
doctor's visits
and
is too slow to call it middle
So the
ground.
doctor, no, that wasn't. I was going to go to urgent care, but there were the doctors, and you had an appointment. You can make it a week out. Now you can't do that. They're always months and months and
That's
months
true.
out.
Yeah, like,
right, which
some
is
of them are booked
crazy.
forever.
And then all of a sudden, urgent cares came in, right? And urgent care was that. But I think urgent care was a way. I kind of think it's kind of insurance kind of scamming they do. So now they push all the doctor's appointments out months and months. So you need to go to urgent care, but urgent care isn't covered by insurance. Technically, it's not the regular copay. It's $70 or $80 of the money. So now they found a way to like charge you more, and that was I don't feel well, let me go to urgent care really quick because you don't need an appointment. But now urgent care is not a fast thing anymore either, and they're booked up. Hospitals were emergencies,
right?
You
which
know,
is
or somewhere that you were checked in,
right? But like you're saying, now there's not like
but there
really
isn't
anything
that
else
anymore,
to do,
right? Now
like,
there's
I can't
none
just
of
get an X-ray, and
Right.
not a lot of doctors' offices.
No,
like a specialist will have an X-ray machine, but like not every doctor's office has an X-ray machine. ready and raring to go.
And
an X-ray tech.
Most of them will send
a radiologist.
you. Yeah, a lot of places,
No.
a lot of doctors will send you
They'll send
somewhere
you
else.
right, exactly. Which that's
Right.
what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to go to a doctor. Him
And
say,
that's even-
yes, you need an X-ray. Go for it
And
next
that's
week.
even worse.
And then I go next week to get me X-ray. They say now you got to go see the doctor again.
Right. Or
next week. I'm
and
like,
it's not like that.
did I break a bone or did I not break a bone?
And you also got the wait
like, I
time
can't
and all
move
between
my
them.
right, and
Yeah.
each one is an hour.
Like I already waited at the doctor's office. Don't I get a free ride?
Yeah.
There's a place on Woodhaven. It's like a CAT scan, X-ray, MRI place.
Imaging, they call
Imaging place, yeah. And that is the only place I've ever been to. A lot of doctors, if you need something, they send you there, and you pretty much go in. You give them the thing, and they send there's a very little wait. That's one of the only places that have it down to like a system, and then you just leave. It's like it's nice.
I did a lot of imaging recently. It wasn't too bad, but I had appointments. But the wait wasn't that bad.
I just hate waiting
the
for
wait
anybody.
was okay.
I mean, the speed
hate
of
waiting,
the speed
but
that
the wait
X-rays
was
are
okay.
taken at these days, I feel like they've always been pretty fast. You should never have a separate. Fine, if it's like a thing, it's like X-rays.
My X-ray was the fastest.
Just
thing.
go like there's an X-ray place, and you just go, and they're like, yeah, we'll take an X-ray of whatever you want. It takes 30 seconds.
It's so
And just
quick.
in and
Accepts
in. It's like
insurance.
you'll
It's
never
so
have that
cares.
long of a line
So quick.
for anything that only takes 30 seconds.
It's so
'Cause
quick.
not that many
I did
people
a-
could possibly need an X-ray at the same time.
I've always known
At
X-rays
one
are
place.
fast, but I didn't know how quick and how
incredible.
and how
Instant.
I went
It's
for
instant.
a foot thing a few months ago. My foot was from running, and I went to a foot doctor. He took the X-ray. He was in the room, did the X-ray, came in like
with the
snap,
things?
came in with the thing. He's like, "Oh yeah, you just have a strained muscle." I'm like, that was so quick. Like
Yeah.
you have these
No, they're
times where you take the
instant.
X-ray
Yeah,
and like you said, they don't tell you anything. You give it the
Yeah, it takes
it's
like an hour.
hours,
Yeah, yeah.
It's like what
Yeah,
the
I gotta
hell?
wait for the X-rays to come in. I'm like,
You're like they're right there. They're right.
what are they mailing them to you? Like, I walked over there. Like,
right
what are you
there.
talking
That's why
about?
when you go to the orthopedist, they'll probably have an X-ray machine and all of that stuff.
Yeah, an
An orthopedist probably would.
An
but-
orthopedist would definitely.
Well, I
have
did
it.
say the reason I said like I kind of softened the hospital just 'cause I was so mad because I was waiting all day. But I was like, I was pretty sure my arm. I was pretty sure it wasn't broken. I was convinced that I should double check.
But you should always double
Why
check.
Make an appointment for that kind of thing.
Well, I was initially thinking I'll just go straight. I knew what the injury was. I knew I had dislocated my shoulder. So I was like, let me just go straight to I'll set up a appointment with a specialist. I know what happened. I know I'm going to need an MRI.
Yeah.
The X-ray's like kind of gravy. I'm pretty sure I didn't break anything in my arm. But, I had to go anyway. So I went and I hated it. But funny, quick tangent on the X-ray thing, just because I thought it was hilarious. So I go in, again, lady says sit down, 30 seconds, stand up. Fine, whatever. That's besides the point. But so the X-ray, like tech, or I don't know if she was a radiologist, but whatever. She comes out of like the little booth thing. She positions me. She's like, just stand here. She goes back in and hits the button. And I say, do you guys not do the aprons that you guys? I don't know if you guys get an X-ray in like the last,
aprons.
Yeah,
like
the
like
metal-
those big like heavy aprons,
The metal
like-
aprons.
Yeah, and she's like, no, we don't do that anymore. Turns out, like with all the, I was like, did they just get better? Or she's like, no, there's actually never really been like a lot of radiation. She's like, the original X-ray machines like 70 years ago were bad, or not 70, whatever. She said she actually gave me a number. I don't remember. Like the original one, she's like, those were pretty like radiation heavy. But now it's all like digital imaging and it's like pretty high tech. She's like, you get more radiation like from your cell phone. I was like, oh cool. And then she said, which this is the part I was like, you got to be kidding me. She's like, turns out actually the aprons that have lead in them direct the radiation and makes
Into
it
you.
worse.
Makes sense.
And I was like, are you serious? I was like, I've been getting x-rayed for like 20 something years, and they always make me hold that directly over my balls. Like always directly over my
your
balls, and
ball.
that's giving me more radiation. Like, are you crazy?
your balls are
and
crispy.
that was like not good science.
That's why there's less kids in the world now.
Oh my god! I was like, is that serious? And she was so nonchalant about it. I was like, what is going on? I thought that I was like, yeah, thank you for protecting me from the radiation in this room. And it's like, and it was apparently a magnifying glass.
That's funny.
It just cracked me up because and it's like one of those things that I expect out of like the medical
Absolutely.
that things develop. I get that. But it's like funny when it's something that's so wrong that it's
right.
actually
It's
worse
hurting
for
you.
you.
It's hurting
And it's
you.
like, who was the first guy who tested? How did the? It's,
That was like
it's
cocaine.
probably because the first
Oh, yeah.
time it was like when it was like you're gonna get radiation.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get sick from the
actually
X-ray,
stopped it.
and like just having a little bit of lead stopped that part of your body from like immediately getting cancer.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but once they got better, now that's just bringing cancer around. I was like, this is insane. I was like, I've had to wear those aprons. I got X-rayed one time on my pinky. Did you do the same thing? Like, well, you got X-rayed on your pinky. I'm saying, did they still make you wear an apron?
I don't remember.
Because my hand was like on. They have like various
Yeah.
apparatuses for
I
like the
remember
imaging because
I
they
think
put
I
you up
had
against the
wear-
thing.
I don't remember wearing
They
it.
had me. I was sitting down. They had me put an apron on.
I don't remember
to
that.
X-ray my hand over here.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it just floating around the room? Like, should I put a suit on?
I think that's
Like,
why they go
is
into
my is my brain not
It
going to get the
is, because
radiation?
That's why they go into their little box. They're not even in the room.
Yeah, that's true.
And
And she
that-
still did that. So
Yeah.
I guess they're not that great. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or they're not.
I
You know,
mean,
it's not good for you. But
Every X-ray I've
Yeah, you
had
should avoid-
recently.
especially if you're there all day.
Every X-ray
I guess that's
I've had
fair. I guess that's
They
true.
should
That's
have the
true. That's
booth.
true.
You're there all day.
Yeah,
Although,
yeah. That's true,
although
that's
it's
true.
weird because all my dentists put the thing on you
the
still,
apron on.
but they stay
Dentists
behind
do.
me. They stand behind me. They don't leave the room anymore.
No, my girl leaves the room.
Does she?
She does.
Mine used to stand out the room and hit the button like they were in the doorway.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But
that's
now-
what they like go into the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But now, the last couple of times I went, she stands
stay
behind me, which is
My
weird.
dentist does have old equipment.
Okay.
Uncle Larry was cleaning out a dentist office once, years and years ago, and he took the X-ray machine.
Did he start like
Took
using
it?
it for fun?
He didn't know what to do with it once he had it, because it has the radioactive marks on it.
Wait, he
Oh,
took
so you
it?
couldn't just get rid of
He
it.
couldn't dump it anyway.
What did he do with it?
I don't know. To this day, I don't know what happened to that machine.
They're cool machines.
They're pretty-
Medical stuff is pretty cool.
When used
Some of it's
appropriately-
wild.
when
Some of
used
it's pretty cool.
appropriately, yeah.
MRIs blow my mind.
MRIs are wild. They're,
I haven't got one in a long time, but
they
I'm,
are so annoying though, and so loud. And,
yeah.
oh.
I'm hoping I don't have to go into one of the full
I've done
cylindrical
that.
ones.
I am not claustrophobic. I went for an MRI once, and they put me in the
Like
whole.
they like slide you in.
I never understand why they have to be so close to you, but that didn't bother me at all. But he took me out halfway through it, and he put like a helmet over my head, and it was like it was all made out of plastic, and I can see through it. It was like lines, and he put me back in, and I had a moment where I was like tapping out, and you know how they can hear you listening to me, like, let me out, let me out, let me out, let me out. I was freaked out because the thing was on my thing, and I was there.
I couldn't let
I needed a
anything-
second, and I had to go. I wasn't expecting it. I was like, all right, give me. You know what? I'm in there now. I've never been claustrophobic in my life, and that was the
That
first
gotcha.
first time. I was like, that was weird. I think it was the fact that they were over my eyes in a weird pattern, and that was right there, and it was freaking me out.
I feel like
in a
there's
way.
probably an added because a lot of people I feel like a lot of people feel like that where they're not claustrophobic but they do
Yeah.
the MRI and it's like I think part of it's like the medical aspect.
I
of
think
it. It's
so.
like the whole thing.
It's
is,
also
you know,
the sound that.
Yeah, it just means like you can't move at all.
Why can't they put you out for an MRI?
I don't know.
It's
Knock
too
you out a
fat.
little
That'd
bit.
be a waste.
No, some. I mean, some.
I mean,
of
you're
them
not in
short.
there for an hour.
I've been in one, at least one for like I think most probably a half hour for one.
Really?
Yeah, I
All
was
right.
in for
That's
one.
not enough to knock you out for it.
they
Yeah, I
can
don't-
give you
Yeah, a little funny
some
gas or
expensive,
something.
Like
Yeah, I guess yeah they could give you. Well, also you can't move though.
You
So
can't
if they
move
give you like
either.
night, you can't be laughing.
No.
I'm saying if they give
yeah,
you
funny
nitrous.
gas.
no,
Like-
but if they put you out for, they could time how much long they need to put.
Yeah,
you
they
out
can
for.
do that
It's
stuff for
not-
purpose.
Can they do any amount of time though? I feel like there's probably
but
a
it's
minimum.
almost-
Oh no, they're.
I have a feeling there's a minimum
To
time.
me, it's the.
I don't
I don't.
know.
I don't think an anesthesiologist can knock you out
To
for
me, it's
45
like the-
seconds.
I
Because
feel like
there's
they
a
can.
medication that brings you out of it too.
Yeah, there is.
Don't you think there's more danger associated with like
Yeah.
There is
taking-
danger in
but
it,
it-
but
and it's
hey,
also-
taking two different kinds of drugs
It's also
instead of just like, hey man,
close
just
your
sit
eyes.
in there.
Close your eyes.
It's
Just
also
sit in there.
I physically couldn't sit in the thing. I couldn't do it.
They're hard.
Some people
but they
can't,
do
some
make
people
them.
can't.
Have you been in modern ones?
I
though?
had to do one.
No.
That was the one. I only had
you
one.
did an
I only got
open
an MRI one time.
It was open.
It was in the
It was
room.
open.
I
It was
was-
like in a big room, and the MRI machine was like pretty much a top level. Like there was like the slide part, but
Okay.
then it was all open.
Yeah.
Oh no!
If I was directly under, but it was my knee, so I didn't have to go all the way. If they were doing my head, I guess I would
No,
have been under it.
I've been in
but it
one-
wasn't like the.
When I went to the hospital,
It wasn't the
they-
cylindrical
One of the more
one.
recent ones I did
But it was
was
very quick, so I was okay, and it wasn't my whole body didn't have to go into the machine.
They just put your head
no,
in.
Yeah.
but one of the more recent
was
ones I
completely
went
out of it
in
anyway.
wasn't open, but it was bigger, and it was like, oh, that's easy. Like, no problem.
I got a funny story. Are we running over time?
No.
No, we're
Oh, okay.
low.
I was looking at
Close,
this one. This isn't.
Well, yeah, I guess
this
it's
I saw this.
probably-
I saw this on Instagram, so it might not be real, but
No, it's real.
I believe it's real.
I believe it too.
Apparently, there was a guy who went for an MRI, and you know how like you can't have anything metal, like it'll rip it, like it's extremely
big
powerful
magnet.
magnet.
Yeah.
Some guy went in apparently wearing a butt plug that was marketed as 100% silicone, but it had a steel core or metal core.
Oh, shit.
And he didn't know, and he didn't tell anyone. Like he was like, "Oh, it's fine, it's silicone." It got apparently. Then there's this
Oh, it pulled
MRI image of it.
Did it pull the
got-
auto away?
It got no. It got, the butt plug. It got shot into his chest cavity. Apparently like Mach 2. And the guy survived it somehow.
Holy shit.
There's a picture,
Literally.
and again, like it's Instagram, it might be fake. You can look it up, maybe.
It might be fake.
But there's like an MRI photo of it, of like, it's like in his chest.
That ripped through his whole body.
I didn't think. I always thought that was bullshit.
It was the funniest, dude. I was like, this cannot. I should have looked it up like more to see if it was a real thing.
I know
I
they're.
could see somebody doing something.
I
that's
always
stupid.
know that-
I mean, of anybody
I
in the
can
world,
see
it's
that.
like a Darwin
Yeah.
Award.
I know
thing.
they're magnets, and I've always heard that. But like half the stuff they say don't do. You never like. They're always fake and they like precautionary.
The magnet
but
thing, I believe.
But I no. But I didn't think.
I'll believe things when it comes to like
I didn't-
massive machines.
I didn't think it was that big, but I actually accidentally went in with my necklace on, and they didn't see it, and I went in, and the thing pulled up. And I was like, necklace, forgot my necklace, and they shut it down.
Good
and
that
pulled me
almost
out.
cut your head off.
It's like, holy cow! I was like, oh my god, that's real. Okay, real thing.
Yeah, I always believed the MRI, the magnetic one. I guess I was just
I
like,
didn't-
play it
It's definitely
safe.
a big
I guess it's
magnet.
just like what's the harm
That's the
in
thing.
putting your metal stuff down for a minute?
That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, you know,
I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow.
you should have just went to it. I guess it's kind of tough.
Don't wear any jewelry.
But they don't have. They might have MRI machines at the hospital.
Don't wear your
Yeah.
They said
They
they
definitely-
can't. They said they can't give me an MRI.
Oh, probably has to be.
So I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Why
in
don't
the
you just go into
emergency
a
room, maybe
sports,
like the hospital?
a sports
hospital.
doctor?
I am.
Oh, which
Well,
one?
he's an orthopedist, but he's a sports medicine.
Where?
Alan Great Neck.
Oh no, my guy was great. The guy I did for my wrist, he was wonderful.
It was the one. The hospital gave me a phone number.
Oh, my guy's good. He was in.
guy. So
he's
I
on
just-
Main. He's
I
off
just did
Main
that one.
Street.
Well, it was
Great.
supposed to be the clinic they sent me to, or they put down, was on Queens Boulevard,
Okay.
but that office was is booked. So the other guy, but I guess it's the same.
Probably the same, different office.
It was the same number I called.
What's his
They just have
last
two
name?
different offices. Ooh, I don't remember.
Oh, you don't know if
I'm
he's a
blanking
doctor
right now.
now. So.
I don't know. I mean, I
Doctor
just-
something, right?
He's an
Not to
old guy,
advertise him, yeah.
so I kind of trust.
Yeah, old doctors are the best. You
I
gotta go
kind
to
of.
a
I'm like,
doctor.
you've been doing it for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
You gotta
If you're,
see
if
that,
you're still
You
doing
know what I
it,
mean? As long as they're not like
By
senile.
now he must be getting it right. You know.
he's got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's still doing it. It seems like he's working well. The hospital recommended him. You know, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I
he
guess.
works for the hospital.
Yeah,
Oh,
fair
boy.
enough. Fair enough. Hey, he's in my insurance network, so I'll do what it is.
Another part of it.
But that'll be fun. I wonder. I was thinking about it tomorrow. I wonder if I'm gonna have to do one of the. I've never done the. You got to get like fully, like the MRI. Like they
Oh.
put you all the way in. Like it's a. I'm trying to think of like a morgue.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it
you
looks
Yeah.
to me. It always reminded me of like the
Yeah.
the big sliding. Thing.
I'm trying to remember the test I took when I did my shoulder, when I brushed my shoulder up. I don't remember if it was an MRI. I thought it was just X-rays, but
Is there any other kinds of things though? I mean, obviously there's tons.
Yeah.
But like everything else, I thought was like specific. Like MRIs and X-rays you can do on any part of your body. CAT scans are like just your brain, right?
Yeah.
Or can you get a CAT scan of your knee?
CAT scan.
Yeah, you can. That's how.
But what is that?
Isn't a full
what does that
body CAT
reveal?
scan how
I don't
they?
know.
Isn't that how?
I
Isn't
don't
that
know.
one
I
of
thought
like
CAT
the best
scans were
test
just
to
brain
take?
The
things.
PET scan.
The
The
full
PET
body,
scan is a
right?
full body
That
thing, right?
that's like the best thing to take. You can see.
Is that not a
everything there.
full body MRI? That's like a
don't know.
different
I
thing.
don't
I don't
think
know.
so.
I don't know this.
We gotta get the doctor.
But I think I'm
You can
starting.
This I have no
you
idea.
Can get, fun fact, I found this out recently. You can get like what is basically the equivalent of an ultrasound on different parts of your body.
There is.
Okay, I had to do that for my.
I
heart.
remember
Yeah.
though. There's different types
CT
of
scan
X-rays.
as well.
There's X-rays that see bones.
Oh, that's
and
what
an
I meant.
X-ray.
CT scan's the
CT
brain
scan.
one.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know what a CAT scan
is a contrast scan.
Yeah.
They pump something into your blood so that it makes.
Oh, that's
it-
hard.
No.
Okay, so CAT scan is your brain.
So
All right.
like I did
Back
it for
on.
my kidney. They
No, there's
put the
X-rays that do
contrast in
bones,
you
I
and-
think, and then X-rays that can do muscles and tissues and stuff.
MRI. MRI is the
Oh.
muscle and tissue thing. X-rays are just bones.
I thought
back
an
to
X-ray
medical
can do
school.
different things.
No, because I'm pretty sure the whole idea with the X-ray is like the radiate, like your bone is the only thing that reflects it back.
I feel like he showed me an X-ray of all this, and he can see
An MRI looks like an X-ray,
Yeah.
but it's not an X-ray.
my shoulder was a while ago.
Very riveting, but we're way over.
Yeah,
time.
we're over.
I don't know.
All right,
We're never over.
this is pretty good.
We decide on the
Listened
over.
5 minutes ago.
People got medical things.
Well, anyway.
It's true.
I gave a funny story.
It
from
was riveting.
Instagram.
15 minutes ago.
That was 15 minutes ago. I asked if we were over.
We're over now.
All right.
We weren't then.
So
but we
thanks
are
for
now.
listening, everyone, and as always.
Stay angry, annoyed, and amused.